I'm Ra. You are here. Welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody's doing all right. This was a unscheduled. I'm calling it because that's what it is. This was an unscheduled broadcast. I was not planning on going live, but sometimes these things happen, man. So sometimes we stream at odd hours, so that does happen if you had some important things. Whenever the mood hits you, but I hope everybody's doing all right out there. Want to give a shout out to all of our channel supporters that are out there, all our brother and sister channels that are there. Shout out to all of our subscribers. If you are not a subscriber, down here at the bottom right here, you should see a ticker that I placed there. That ticker is letting you know if you want to follow us, how to follow us here at the Great Ride here channel. It's letting you know we're on TikTok, Instagram, and X, as well as YouTube, which we are live on right now. Don't hesitate, and Facebook, don't hesitate to reach out, follow, like, share, subscribe, comments, get in contact with us. We're open for business, if that makes sense. So, why am I here now? It says title says breaking news. That's what we're calling it. But we're just basically here to give you the update on what might be popping on the channel this week. Got some big things going on. There is man, I hate to spoil stuff. There is a big episode of Catch the Fade podcast planned, and I hate to even say that because I hate to overpromise and underdeliver. You guys know that, so I'll leave it at that. I won't say anything else. But if everything goes according to plan, it should be a really good episode. Now, we were recently graced by the Kingpin. The Kingpin came through here, showed some love, and we chopped it up and talked about figures and what's going on in the community. And he let me know that there's basically, in his view, there's really two types of people. And I'm using his words and his demonstration. So up here, there's toxic, and then there's the coolest dudes ever. And that's how he describes the people within our hobby: toxic or coolest ever. I get that. There really isn't an in between. Sometimes any community can be toxic, if I'm being honest about it. Any community, whether you collect figures or Funko Pops or stuff like we do here, collect things, or you're somebody that's in a car club or a drone club or anything like that. Those people at your job is toxic. There are all kinds of stuff, right? So I get that. But we do everything we can here to try to keep this a safe space, to keep it uh, as less than hey, what I'm saying, to make it as less of a toxic place as we possibly can, because we so much goes on in the world, man, and we want a safe place for people to watch. We want a really safe place for you all to come in here and check things out. That is really important to us. So we do everything we can to um, to keep it toxic free, if that's a phrase. You know. So in streaming here, we one of the reasons that we stream is that we want to reach out and talk to the community. Obviously we see people out in public elsewhere, and that's fine. But this is how we directly reach people, and it's a blessing to be able to come to the airwaves and talk to people about, I mean, anything, but really we're really here as a community is talking about collecting stuff, right? So getting on to the test, but that's very important that I make sure I mention that we do everything we can to make a safe space. Mental health is very, very important, and if collecting things makes you happy, keeps the peace. For some people, it's gaming. They come home and we play games sometimes too. I get it here at the channel. We do that. I mean, I've played Call of Duty and other stuff. Sometimes you just gotta let it out, let that anger out. Shooting people virtually, not hurting anyone, but playing some Call of Duty will release that, or playing NBA 2K or whatever it is, a Street Fighter, whatever you're doing, right? That's your safe space, that's your peace, that's how you unplug and recharge before you go back out into the world the next day, because the world can take so much from you. From your work, dealing with your personal. When you have that time to recharge, it's important. I always say you can't pour in another person's cup if yours is empty. So make sure you fill your cup up and recharge. Now, that being said, with the breaking news this week, we do have we're going to have a really big episode of Catch the Fade podcast. We do have some shorts and videos that are dropping every single day. If you're following us on YouTube, TikTok, you should have been seeing those things. Instagram, you'll see those things dropping. We got a couple of long form videos that should hit this week, where we did some reviews about stuff. I think it's time. I'm waiting to hear back. I don't want to reveal who it is, but I'm waiting to hear back from a good friend of mine, another fellow streamer out there, to talk about Transformers. Transformers is big. He's kind of in my age group and has came up because some of you right now, are looking at Transformers and you don't know about. You see Studio Series 86 or whatever, and that doesn't mean anything to you because you weren't born then. You don't understand it. But those of us that went to the theater and saw the Transformers movie, it was an epic thing, right? And we come from a different generation where now they're classified as G1, G2, Beast Wars, Age of Primes, all this stuff, a lot of stuff that I don't even know, right? Transformers is way too deep for me. So I'm getting educated on. I remember the old school Transformers, and I know that they cannot be the way they used to be. That was the hardest thing for me was understanding that it can't go back there. I always thought that like we could get the Transformers back where they were, but I had to know that we can't. We just can't go back there. Because you had Megatron and changed into a gun, and we never did anything. But I get it. Current events, the climate, things happening. We don't want kids pointing, even if they're not real. I was just transforming. We don't want them pointing guns that aren't real. We got enough problems with guns in this country, especially in the city. I get it. So Megatron has to be a tank. That's why. Understood. No issues at all. Right? If you saw the new Studio Series 86, his robot form looks exactly like what I remember. So that alone will make it worth it. He's somebody that I probably would not put in his transformed form simply because I remember him as a gun that shockingly, if you ever watched the old cartoon, you can go and look on YouTube and Google it and look. I mean, and not Google it, but go to YouTube and look at it. If you go see the old episodes, it's crazy that Megatron physically was so much larger than Soundwave. He always trusted Soundwave to shoot him, if that makes sense. He transformed to a gun. Starscream shot him once or twice, but for the most part, it was usually Shockwave. Shockwave would catch him and would fire him. And I was like, how did he get that little? We had to suspend our disbelief because he's bigger than everybody else, but he transforms and he becomes that little. Other Transformers kind of made sense in a way, but they never really covered it. Like Astro Train was kind of a bigger one. He was a triple changer, but somehow he was big enough to hold all of them when he transformed. You had to suspend your disbelief back then. I'm just telling you that now. If you didn't watch those, if you go back and watch episodes on YouTube now, as long as you suspend your disbelief, and you're talking to a wrestling fan, so I'm well accustomed to that. If you suspend your disbelief, it makes a lot more sense. Don't think too deep into it. That's all I can tell you. As long as you don't think too deep into it, you'll be fine. If you start pondering why this don't make sense, you won't enjoy it. Now, excuse me. To why I'm probably wearing gloves. You guys are saying, why are you wearing gloves? Here's when I said, here's one of those things. When I say tips, right? And that's something I mentioned in the title. A tip that I learned and no one told it to me. I just kind of picked up on it. I noticed that a lot of collectors, especially people that had premium stuff. I mean, even stuff that was non, but especially the premium collectors, would always have gloves on. I was like, why are you wearing gloves? As you know, we're human beings. Our fingers, we sometimes our hands can be dirty, even if you had the best hygiene. You could have oils. You have oils on your fingers. If you don't know that, that's a fact. You have oil, sweat, dirt, that stuff in here, but your fingers, even if you're not a really oily person, they leave some form of oil. Every person does, right? You don't want that on your figures. It's not visible a lot of times unless you're dealing with premium figures, and it's highly visible because those figures are wearing actual clothing that has fabric. Which brings me to my next point. One of the reasons I'm wearing them. We have a review coming up this week, so be on look out on the channel. I think it drops Thursday. I got to go back through and look at the slate. But I want to tell you, I won't spoil it for you, like as far as score and all of that stuff. But I will tell you, Thursday the review is up for the Hot Toys Wolverine. We'll bring him in close so you can see him right there. Man, is that badass or what? That is an awesome figure. That is the Hot Toys Wolverine. Yep, it's a full scale 1/6 figure. Absolutely. Yep. Even comes with the mask right here. Right. Even has the mask. Look at the details in the face. This is comic Logan, so let me be clear. This is not MCU Logan. Although I love Hugh Jackman, shout out to him. This is not that Logan. This is the Logan from the actual comic books, as he is supposed to be. It's this Logan. You can see the details. Look at that hair. He has flesh tones. Like it feels weird. You have to touch it to know. Oh, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Just a very lifelike figure by Hot Toys, and it's actually under the banner of the good people at Sideshow Studios. So if you're considering getting a premium figure, I highly recommend you check out the good people of Sideshow Studios. As you can see, and right here, Sideshow Collectibles. Excuse me, I said Studios. Honda Studios did this, but Sideshow Collectibles for stuff like this. This is their Wolverine. If you can get a good look at it, there's a picture right there, the comic, right, that he comes with. Absolutely awesome, right? But we're going to be covering a review this week, so look out, be on the lookout for a review of that figure. We've already covered Dragon Man. Now, when we're talking about premium, and you could lump it in there. Dragon Man is, I mean, everybody's definition of premium is different, right? Premium a lot of times is associated with money, and with good reason. I get it. The more money you spend, you tend to feel different about a figure if you spend a lot more money on it. No problem. But premium can vary, right? And every premium figure doesn't have to be 200 plus bucks. I mean, a lot of them are, let's be real, but they don't always have to be. I mean, something like a Dragon Man, depending on the person, right? And I don't necessarily know if, what category you fit, Dragon Man fits into. He's under a Marvel Legends, he's a Hasbro Pulse, he was one of the made to order exclusives. Him and Sentinel, obviously Mephisto next year, made to order, right? This is a badass figure. It really, really is. I mean, Dragon Man is like next level awesome. Um, but could I call him premium? I mean, yeah, I mean, you could if you wanted to. I mean, just based off the price alone, if you wanted to call Dragon Man premium, you could. He costs, if you think about it, he's, let's say, essentially, taxes and all that, he's $90. So he's not, and you couldn't walk in a store and buy him. He had to be purchased online through Hasbro Pulse. Now you got to go through the secondary market, and we'll spare all the arguments that are occurring there because you got a lot of people. When the Kingpin was here, we were just talking about that, how toxic that community is, and we had a whole discussion about resellers versus scalpers, and you guys know how I feel. I'm okay with resellers. It's scalpers I have the biggest issue, if any, with. But I don't, as I said, I don't think you can scalp something that's made to order because it's as many as people order. Scalper could order more than you, but he can't stop you from getting one at the retail price. So that was my take on it. And I won't get in the soapbox again about it, but that was my take on that. I don't think you can scalp that stuff. But nonetheless, that's another video for another day. I've already talked about it. By all means, if you go back and look at that video, I did talk about it. It's on our Dragon Man review. So if you go back and look at that chat, look at that video down in the comments, we talk about it. I've discussed it at length. And then if you reach out here in the comment section here on this stream, we check them. I'll go back and look. And if we need to dive into it and do another video about it, reselling versus scalping, no problem. I prefer that we got, save that for when we have had our big Catch the Fade podcast. We're having our special guest in here. We do have some episodes slotted for that, and we'll see, fingers crossed, Lord willing. But if you want to get active before then and just leave a comment about it, we will respond to it. No problem at all. I'm always open for discussion because engagement is what matters, right? But as far as premium, right? Dragon Man, a premium figure. I mean, Hasbro would tell you that my main man, Maximum Hulk, right here, premium figure, because he's not the price of the standard, which a typical Marvel Legends about, I don't know, let's just say, can we say 30? Maybe 30 bucks. I say 25, right? 25, 30 bucks for typical. Anything beyond that, you got like the deluxe, like Maximum. Those guys are all in the 50s now. We won't talk about Maximum Deadpool. I'll spare you on that. But there are figures that are outside of the standard Marvel Legend, right? So I would say, depending on how you look at it, something like Dragon Man, Maximum Hulk, maybe the Maximum line, maybe they're premium, maybe they're not, right? But the point is, in having premium, number one, even premium or not premium, here's your first tip: wear gloves. Okay, wear your gloves. I promise you, because just like germs spread through anything else, you can spread on your fingers, spread anywhere, right? So it's a good idea Keep the oils here contained and not on the figures. As you saw with that Wolverine, he has fabric. You're not careful, that fabric can get dirty. You don't want that. You don't want oils all over it. Just trust me. It's a tip that'll help you extend the life of your figure. All right. So that's one tip. Number two, if you're someone, then you can be in the box, out of the box, because you guys know we're both here in box collectors and out of box. Um, I'm a fan of windows, like the big windows. If you have that, I'm not saying it's the same as displaying. It's not, because you can change the articulation of how they stand with other figures and poses and whatnot. But yeah, window works for me with a lot of stuff. Some of the McFarlane stuff you can't see behind me, I doubt. But in some of the McFarlane stuff has a big window. I can see in that box. I'm good with it. I'll use an example. Let's say, yeah, right here. Here's my main man, the ever loving blue eyed thing, right? Big window. I can see in there. Now, obviously, that box is going to get open for more than one reason, but I can see inside there. So if I didn't, I do know what it looks like, and it is in the box where I can see it. So in a way, I'm sort of displaying it, but that's for another video too. But when it comes to displaying your figures, my advice to you: number one, wear gloves. Number two, display what makes sense. It's yours, and you spent your money on it. Display what makes sense. Have a purpose or a theme. If you just randomly display figures, you can. That's okay. But I feel like if you don't have an idea for figures, and you just, unless you're somebody that just opens everything. Now, let me tell you this: if you're somebody that just opens everything, then ignore what I'm about to say, because you're gonna just open it up anyway. But if you're somebody that doesn't just open everything, and you kind of display some things and you don't, my advice is have a theme and a purpose. So before you open that box, like I'm gonna use that thing, make an example. Make, I mean, not to make an example. Make a plan. So for this, what is my plan? What is my vision for that? Am I going to build something that is just Fantastic Four first steps related? That involves them and Galactus? Am I just building a collection of big beefy guys with just, let's say, Thing, Thanos, and Colossus, Juggernaut? Am I doing that? Am I mixing those lines between Select and regular Marvel Legends, which I personally do? You guys know I do mix Marvel Selects, so I think they scale well. But Marvel Selects with my regular Marvel Legends, I do that. But my point is, do you have a plan for that figure? What's your vision, right? That will help you tremendously, because nothing's worse than you just have figures open and then you get other figures and you go, okay, this is what I want to do. Well, why is that open? It's just there. It'll save you a lot of time down the road if you don't do that. Like a lot of people right now making Marvel versus Capcom shelves, that's a great idea for people that are doing that. Well, I'm saying Gamerverse because Capcom won't allow Hasbro to say, you know, Marvel versus Capcom line, so it's Gamerverse. But there's a plan behind it. So I'm okay with that part. Make sure that you have a plan and a vision. So that's another tip you can do. My next tip, and this is really, really important, is to be thankful for what you got. And because it ties into the vision earlier. Be thankful. They understand that collecting, I'm not even gonna say it's not a marathon, it sure as hell ain't a sprint, but it's definitely not a marathon. It's a never-ending race. Because my man Clever's Multiverse just talked about this too. I've always said it too, that when you get in collecting, a lot of times you'll say, "I'm just gonna collect this and then I'm done." Right? I mean, all I want to do is get in here. I've always wanted the Fantastic Four. I'm gonna do this and I'm done. It's one of the biggest lies collectors tell themselves, and they do it every single day. They do it all the time. They go, just this one figure and I'm finished. Well, I just got into it to get this line. Sometimes that works, but most times that does not. Usually when you get into this hobby, you have a desire, because you like collecting things, and you keep going. I mean, you'll say, "Oh, I'm just going to do this set." Well, since we know that this is a never-ending race, they are going to continue to put out products to attract you, the consumer, to purchase those products, right? So it's going to be in your face. So unless you disconnect from the world at large, there's no way you're not, especially if you were a collector for a number of years, there's no way to disconnect from that where you just say, well, I don't see it anymore. You're going to see it unless you just completely disappear. You're going to see it either at a Comic Con or some kind of con, or your friends are going to talk about it, or you'll see it on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. You're going to see it. right? The algorithm will, by that point, especially if you were a big collector prior, your algorithm for YouTube is going to recommend those channels and you're going to see it because, as far as YouTube is concerned, you're still in that world, right? As far as social media, you're still in that world. So it's still going to show you that content, still going to show you those content creators. That doesn't stop unless you completely disconnect, right? So that's another tip for you. Just know that when you get into this, I'm not gonna say know what your end game is because there's really not an end game to this. This is a hobby that once you're in it, it's kind of like like the NWO said, it's for life. I mean, you're in there, you're in there. I've always said. Somebody asked me the other day. I put the meme up of Deontay Wilder of the "to this day," that meme, like when they said, "How long will you go collect?" And I put that meme up there. To this day, and it's funny. But I say that because my big thing is I say, hey, until I'm in a box, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm in it. I have no plans on stopping, no plans on quitting. It is my, remember that thing I talked about earlier, where your peace is, your safe space, where you go to enjoy yourself. I game sometimes, but this thing here allowed me to connect with other like-minded people, people that aren't toxic, but that are good people, and we talk and bonded over our love for this culture when it comes to movies and comic books and figures and stuff like that. So for me, that's my safe space. I'm not running away from it. I'm running to it to stay there. Right now, in collecting, and another tip I can say, because I'm dropping all these gems that I didn't know. When you're collecting, it's okay to have a range. Let's be clear on that. What I mean by that, do I collect premium? Do I collect non-premium? 1/6, 1/12. Which way do I go? Make sure you've already, remember we talked about a plan, having a plan before you ever collect. That's going to help you out tremendously because that will kind of get you your budget. Because this is all, at the end of the day, this is really supposed to be based off disposable income. So that's another thing. You're supposed to have the money there or have a plan to get the money there to do it, right? So it shouldn't be above you eating a sandwich, for example, right? But when you have that plan and you decide, hey, this is what I'm going to do, kind of figure out which way you want to go. Now, if you're going to do, I recommend a range. So I know I have friends that a couple of them, that's all they do is premium. So they're only going to deal with 1/6 premium stuff like the Wolverine I showed you. Stuff from Hot Toys or somewhere like that that's going to be premium, where you're looking at north of $200. That's all they collect. They don't have any Marvel Legends. They don't have any McFarlane. They don't have any Super Seven or NECA. They don't have any of that. All they have is just the regular life size. They'll call them lifelike plus size figures that are going to be 12 plus inches in fabric that look realistic, and that's cool. That's what they do. I have some friends that strictly do McFarlane. I have some that do just Marvel Legends. I have some that just say, I'm only gonna do 1/12. I'm only gonna do the regular figures, 6, 7 inches, nothing else. So I myself believe in having a range. If you see something and do the research on it and it's cool and you like it, go for it. That's the way I say it. If you can afford it, you can get it in there and it works for you and what you're trying to do, your vision that we talked about earlier. If it works with your vision, then by all means go for it. Okay. Um, I'm a huge fan, literally. I mean, I guess you guys can see them back there, right? Of these premium DNA. Um, figures. These are from Premium DNA Toys. You can check it out. They have their own website and they make some amazing stuff. This comes from the Battletoads, right? And that's might be before some of these people's time that might be listening. Hey, I appreciate you. Even if it's before your time, if you're a subscriber, I appreciate you. So I'm not making fun of you because if you don't know what Battletoads is, perfectly fine. Remember, I just told you I'm a grown man. I struggle with Transformers. So it's all right. If you don't know what Premium DNA is, Premium DNA, that's a company. They do a bunch of things, like, but they do some retro properties. Earthworm Jim. I know I'm going back, right? You got to, if you're younger, just Google it. Believe me, that was a heyday of gaming. So Earthworm Jim, Battletoads, those are really cool figures that they made, really cool games from back in the day that some of my viewers out there remember the countless hours of fun you had with Earthworm Jim and Battletoads. Two fun games, I think probably will come back. I mean, Battletoads is kind of in some ways it has, but we'll get on that in another video. But these figures are from there. They're from Premium DNA Toys. And the review is up on the channel. Of course, I always plug it. Go to the channel and look. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is outstanding. Man, this thing's heavy. I promise this thing's like a weapon. It's so big and so strong. If I hit somebody with this, I'd break every bone in their body. This thing is solid, right? This is an amazing piece. This is General Vermin from Battletoads. I'm not going to even try to pick up Slaughter. Slaughter is almost 20 inches in height. You guys, like I said, go look on the channel. You can see the review. Slaughter is almost 20 inches tall. He is a beast of a figure, right? And they are premium, very much detailed, sculpt on the fingernails, lines in them, right? You just saw General's Vermin nails and everything. So if you want, I mean, if that's the kind of stuff you're looking for, if you've planned it out, by all means, go for it. But just know that premium usually means price. Not always, because sometimes you can get something on sale or something like that, and you can kind of work it out. Or if you go to a secondary market, eBay, Mercari, something like that, that could happen. But premium usually is tied to price. So I want to be transparent as I possibly can. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you can go do premium, it'll be cheap. No, it's not. Premium usually is tied to price. Sometimes you get lucky, but it is. It's usually tied to space too, because you want a big, like I just gave you an example, or General Verver is 12 inches tall, right? He's huge. So if you want a premium piece, they're usually going to take up more space. I'm not saying you can't get premium in because you have Beast Kingdom that did my Dark Side, and he's not quite as tall as everybody else, but he is about 9 inches, somewhere around that neighborhood. But the detail in the sculpt is fantastic. He lights up and he has a bunch of accessories. But my point is, so they don't all have to be 12 plus, inches. They don't all have to be like this, but a lot of times they're going to be. So that's just something that you have to know and be prepared to deal with. As long as you know that, then you're all right. But that's a tip that I did not know when I started. So I'm passing that knowledge on so maybe somebody else will be more prepared when they do it. You have that vision, have that plan, and know what premium is. Premium is usually tied to price, also tied to space. Premium figures are usually bigger, even if they're not that expensive. They tend to take up space, as I told you. 12 inches, almost 20 inches. Big Dragon Man, 10 and a half inches. 10, almost 10 and a half inches to the top of that dome right there. I think he's 10. Venom, Game Reverse Venom up there, the most jealous figure in the history of my collection. If you've been watching the YouTube shorts, yes, he's still jealous and it's still going down. Go check those videos out. But 10 and a half inches, big figures with some of the best articulation in a 9+ inch figure. That's one of the best articulated ones I've seen. He's outstanding to be that big. I mean, he is double joint. You can get him in some of the craziest poses ever. So they did a great job to Hasbro with that. Dragon Man, fairly flexible for the size. He's not as obviously as able to get into the poses like Venom is, but for his size, he moves pretty good and he can actually thunderclap. No disrespect to Maximum Hulk. I'm careful when I say that, but definitely an amazing figure. So that's another tip. So know that premium, which way you want to go, and if you go premium, premium kind of has to do with price and space. So please be aware of that. Space is another concern. If you're going to go in, know that just plan it out and just say, hey, I want to collect figures. Have the space, have the vision in your head, and know. Am I going to go with stuff on the wall? Am I going to go with DTOF cases from IKEA? Am I gonna go with Sterilite like a lot of us use here? Like the Sterilite racks that you find in garages work perfect for displays and figures and dioramas and stuff like that. So that's what a lot of us use. Different types of shelves. You can use those. It's up to you. With collecting, the important thing is it's your vision. So remember to use your vision to make your display come to life. At the end of the day, this is your stuff. It's not mine. It's not anyone else's. It's yours. So plan it, have your vision to it, and get it together. So just know ahead of time budget, time, space. If you know those three things, you're probably going to be good starting out. Like I said, before you just jump in on the deep end of this, know those things budget, space, time, right? Because budget will kind of tie into it. And then, of course, I could say premium, but really it ties into budget. But know what type of collector you want to be. If you have any questions about that kind of stuff, Clever's Multiverse is an amazing channel. It's my guy out there, right there. Check him out. He gives some really good tips on for collectors starting out. He covers a lot of different things on his More Than Just Toys series, right? Those are awesome videos. Go check them out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. You'll find them very helpful as well as entertaining. Now, before I get out of here, as I said, this week we got some big stuff planned. So please make sure you're tuned into the channel. This Thursday at 4, we will have Catch the Fade podcast. We were off last week, but we will be back this week. So the podcast will go down at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time this Thursday. Catch the Fade. Absolutely, you do not want to miss it. It will be a good one. Also, look for some videos this week. We got some reviews that are going to pop up, and those reviews should be really, really good. And it's really important that you guys check those out, right? So we got the shorts. So obviously there's a series I just alluded to earlier with Venom and Dragon Man. They're still beefing over promos for the channel, so go check that out. It's really, really funny. We're also on Instagram. Shout out on Instagram to my main man Cam C, Minding Mind Bricks. He's the Lego Lord. Go check him out. We got some collaborations going with him too. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tie you up anymore. It's already late enough. If you're watching this video, thank you for spending some time here with a bald guy on the internet. And big shout out to my main man, without revealing anything, Tony the Toy Rat. Big things popping for him and his channel too. In any case, folks, make sure you're checking us out. As it says right there, like, share, subscribe, comments, and I will see you all later this week. But as I always say, I will never stop saying this as long as I'm streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to stay tuned. Please continue to stay collected. And above all, please continue to stay great. We will see you all out there. Stay tuned this week. Should be a good week, I promise you. Till